It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Oh, it's a busy Friday. That is for certain. Crazy stuff happening all over the place. Nothing crazier than my producer, my cohort on this show. The one, the only, Jay Morgan Harder, who began a couple of days ago with a tradition apparently that he has had that none of us knew about when we hired him. I'm not sure he would have been hired if we'd known all this.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah. That he wears a costume leading up to Monday, October the 31st, Halloween. You do this every year, right? I'm assuming?
Really just it depends on how many costumes I had. This year I had 4, so I had to start on Wednesday. It depends on if next year I might have 3, maybe 2, maybe just 1, so we'll see.
And if he sounds weird or distant, I hope that you do watch us on the many video outlets that we have, Twitter, Facebook Live. What else am I missing? There's others.
Yeah, Twitch, YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So many.
We're all over the world.
That's right.
With that. If you really want a good laugh, please go check out J-Mo on those video feeds, because he is literally a giant Porky Pig. You are so big and lifelike with that Porky Pig that I am sure Walker Taylor at the Germantown Commissary would be very proud of you at this very moment. You could actually go and sell a bunch of barbecue wherever you wanted to go today.
I'm for hire. If they want to give me some money to stand outside their establishment and wave to passersby, it would draw a lot of business. I'm telling you right now.
Greg Aston made the point, and I think he's on the money. If you showed athletic dexterity, you could literally be like the guys that used to come to AutoZone Park, the Zooper stars.
That's right.
Kind of what you look like.
With the San Diego Chicken.
Well, the San Diego Chicken wasn't like that.
Wasn't part of it.
That was one of the first costumes.
That's
really.
right.
And then the Philly Fanatic, who by the way makes costumes now for all the mascots. The Philly Fanatic does. I think he's made a ton of money on this stuff. But the Superstars come up in stuff like you've got on, but it's basically I think they're all gymnasts or whatever. Because remember they bend over and they do all kinds of crazy things in their costumes.
Eat the cheerleaders and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't think you could quite do that. I think if you bent over, you would be done.
Yeah, I would pop.
Yeah. But this is so elaborate. Now, this amazes me how, we were talking earlier in the week about how crazy people are now about Halloween, and we got all these amazing like skeletons and home displays. It's like Christmas. It's so cool. In fact, there's a guy in my neighborhood. I should say it's on Gwynn, because you should go see this. Gwynn off of Getwell, go east. He's a former Tiger manager. His name is Brian. And he, in his front yard, it's incredible. It's quite the display. You would really absolutely go nuts over it. You'd love it. I think kids would go crazy for it. But we are going all out, and apparently America is too, because this particular costume you've got on is huge. It's enormous. You would think it is hot inside, but you were telling me that they have figured this out?
I've got a little fan inside, which helps keeps it inflated. It's very cool air, so I'm very comfortable, to be quite honest.
There's a fan inside the costume.
That's right, battery-powered, 4 AA batteries.
That's just amazing to me. Anyway, it is the Friday before Halloween. It's going to be a fun Halloween. I'm thinking about actually in front of my house, my wife and I, this is her favorite holiday. I think we're going to do a little fire pit, maybe a little old-fashioned or something, and sit out there and just watch everybody come by, and we'll have our candy out there. They don't even have to go to the door. That's just if the weather is cooperative. In the meantime, let's get to sports. And last night, Grizz just dominates Sacramento, and they were never in trouble. So they're now on a pace to win 66 games, J-Mo. 66 after they win by 15, 125-110.
That would surpass last year's total of 56, which we were all a little bit trepidatious about going over on. I don't know if they'll keep up the pace to that degree.
Well, I would say thus far, I mean, consider Houston and Sacramento's winless, by the way, in the NBA standings. I would have to say the schedule has been very kind. Now they got a couple with Utah and then one with Portland.
And Utah's good. I mean, obviously Portland's really good, but
Utah's 4-1,
well
just
too.
like they are.
That's right.
Yeah. So if they win 4 of the next 5, then we'll talk about this pace. Oh, Tom Brady. The Bucs lose again. Things are not looking good. His divorce, apparently, with Giselle is going to be final today. That has to be distracting. He couldn't get anything going last night. Do you know when the last time he lost 3 games in a row?
Oh, it had to be his last year in New England?
No,
second to last. There was one year in New England
you have to
that was
go
really
back,
bad.
You have to go back 20 years. 302 games ago, he lost 3 in a row.
Wow, 2001, 2002.
Whenever it was over 20 years ago. In fact, just so you know, the last time as a starter that he was 3-5 would have been 23 years ago. So that would be 1999 that he lost 3 games in a row.
That's really unbelievable, though.
I know. But it's bad. It is really bad. World Series starts tonight. Does Houston have a dynasty? So I know we usually think about domination World Series titles, but how about 4 pennants in the last 6 years? Last time the Phillies won a pennant was 2009. So 4 pennants last 6 years, a little like the Braves used to do. Remember in those years they'd win their division every year and only got the 1 World Series title? We'll see what happens with the Astros. But do you consider 4 pennants 6 years kind of a dynasty?
I certainly call it a dynasty, and I know there's probably going to be a lot of pushback about that regarding the cheating years, right? The trash can years, we'll call them. But nonetheless, I mean, it has to be considered a dynasty in that there's only 2 players left from those cheating teams, and they're still playing just as good, if not better, baseball than they ever have before. Haven't lost a game in the playoffs yet. I have a hard time seeing them losing to the Phillies.
They're overwhelming favorites. I don't really care who wins this, to be honest with you. I like the Phillies. I like the fact Bryce Harper finally is getting his due after, he took big money. It's not like if he hadn't done well, like, say, Mike Trout, that you totally feel bad for him because he's, like, set for the next 8 generations of Harpers. But the fact is that's a good story. I love Kyle Schwarber's story. Kyle Schwarber just feasts in October, doesn't he?
He's leading off, which is wild. You wouldn't imagine a guy Kyle Schwarber's size back in the day leading off.
So that's good. And then here's the Astros. They haven't lost since the very beginning of October. Do you realize, or do you know? Let me just put it this way. I love putting you on the spot, especially when you're Porky Pig.
That's right.
That's all, folks. What's the record for the most wins in a row in postseason? Do you have any idea?
Has anyone ever gone all the way through? Let's say 12.
Mm-mm.
Then I don't know.
Kansas City Royals in 2014 won 8 in a row. The Astros have now won 7 in a row. If they were to win the first 2 games in Houston, they would set the mark for the most consecutive postseason wins.
I just have a hard time seeing them lose, to be honest. And maybe it's because I am not like
the Phillies are going to win a couple of games.
I hate the Phillies. I hope they don't win a single game.
You hate
They're my least favorite team in baseball.
What would bring that kind of emotion to you?
It might have been Joe Girardi, and since this is still kind of his
cut him.
team,
They let him go.
And that's my favorite part about this is Joe Girardi's a Fox analyst, and they're asking him after every game the Phillies win going to the World Series, what's the key to the Phillies' success? And he has to sit there and not say, well, they fired me and they got a lot better.
Well, he should say that. Because they have gotten a lot better since he left. That's for certain. Okay, so that thing is all set up. Tigers will play Lane on Sunday at 1 o'clock in basketball. It'll be the second time we take a look at this Tiger team. I don't think they will start like they did last week, which was Williams and Davis, and those 2 will start again. But then you saw Jaden Hardaway, Alo, and Malcolm Dandridge. I would kind of bet, I don't know because Penny is not telling me yet, but I would kind of bet he's going to go with Kennedy, McCadden, and Ko in place of the other 3 with Davis and with Williams. I think that's what we'll see Sunday, but we'll have to wait for sure. In the meantime, this morning I talked, and I'm going to talk further with the little general. So much fun to talk to Andre Turner. Turner's bringing back. This is his second year at Lane. He's got a couple of guys on the roster. In fact, Calvin Allen, does that name mean anything to you? He was a Tiger years ago.
I don't know.
This is way before your time because Calvin Allen Jr. is a senior. He went to high school at Olive Branch, and so Calvin Allen is stuck around the area. But his son will be a senior. I'm guaranteeing, because I saw him last year, I'm guaranteeing Calvin Allen will be at the game, and that'll be fun to see all these people. So remember, that's a 1 o'clock game, not like 4 last week. 1 o'clock on Sunday. You'll get home in time to watch the afternoon NFL football games,
right.
Which gets me to, we've got our pick 6, which is always never at 06 like it's supposed to. Let me tell you first, though, that we're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. They do have the Relax at Home sale going on. That includes massage chairs and home theater sets for a really good price. So if you've been thinking about that media room, now's the time to go to Family Leisure. Also, invite the family, invite friends over, a little competition with pool tables or shuffleboards, and also saunas, hot tubs, and patio furniture is on sale. And I've been telling you about financing offers at Homer Skelton Hyundai, our title and presenting sponsor, right there at the corner of Craft Road, first exit in Mississippi off Highway 78, which is Lamar. Okay, you go there now. This just started. A financing program that runs until January where you can defer your first payments on Hyundais. That's right. Defer your first payment for 3 months, 90 days. You don't pay a thing until 90 days are up after you purchase either your new Santa Fe or your Tucson or any of the new Hyundais. Best product, best financing, and now you don't have to pay for the first 3 months at Homer Skelton Hyundai. All right, let's make some picks. Oh, let me just say, this competition,
square
after your 1-5 week, is now even. We're over 500 on competition against the spread, which is always good. You'd like it to be a little bit better than 16-14. That's where we stand. We do 4 college football games. We do 2 NFL games. I'm going to start with TCU and West Virginia. You remember my friend Brett Norsworthy made the bold comment? Because TCU is in line, if they were to win out, to go to the college football playoff. They would secure a spot if there's 0 after the number 12 or 13 in their ledger. They're at West Virginia. West Virginia is really not very good, but you know that stadium is a tough place to play. They get crazy people that come. You know, that West Virginia moonshine. Country roads,
That's
right?
what makes them crazy.
Yeah. And Brett went way out on the limb and said TCU loses straight up there. TCU's got to give 7.5 away. You know, this is kind of TCU's year. I don't think West Virginia, even at home, is good enough. I think there's this little thing about TCU, destiny, fate, whatever you want to call it. There's something about this team in Sonny Dykes' first year, and he's really proven something already from going from one side of the Metroplex to the other, from Dallas at SMU to Fort Worth. I think they're going to cover the 7.5. I'm going to take TCU.
Me too. I agree with you.
Wow.
We're getting set up to be disappointed here. Like you said, they've already been through the gauntlet of their schedule at this point. West Virginia is not very good. This is a great spot for West Virginia. Take West Virginia here. But like you said, TCU's too good. I think they can finish undefeated. Sonny Dykes is a really good football coach. I'm going to take TCU to cover as well.
Ohio State goes to Happy Valley. They got to play at Penn State. You know, Penn State's a good football team.
Beat the heck out of Auburn.
Penn State's a good football team. They're not a great football team. Michigan showed you they're not a great football team. And I know that is another really good home field advantage. But do you see what Ohio State does to people? Do you see what they did to Wisconsin earlier? They don't mind beating that you-know-what out of you. So I just don't think Penn State's that good. At one point, I thought, okay, they're really good against the run. That'll keep them in every game. People are going to have to pass. That'll get them on the field more often. Guess what? They couldn't stop Michigan's run. Michigan ran all over them. I get the feeling that Ohio State offensive line will have their way. I don't think the 14.5 you got to give away is too much. I'm going Ohio State.
I agree. I think they're begging us to take the 14.5 there with Ohio State. I wanted to take Penn State so bad, but I watched that Michigan game too, and I think Penn State had one first down in the first half against Michigan. I mean, just a terrible performance. Ohio State is just as good, if not better, than Michigan. I agree. 14.5 is easy.
All right, so this is scary. We're both in agreement here.
We'll see what goes after the rest of the way.
Let's go to Orlando, where Cincinnati, ranked in the top 25, one of two American teams ranked in the top 25, plays at UCF. UCF knows if they win this game, there's a chance that they would be ranked. Gus Malzahn loves to try to run the score up like they did on Temple, and UCF is actually the favorite in that Lego stadium that they have, that erector set of a stadium. The bounce house, they call it. They'll have a great crowd on hand. It'll probably be a sellout. It is a great atmosphere, for sure, in Orlando. But, the name Greg Roberts was brought up earlier in the week by Brett Norsworthy. And Greg Roberts used to say something like this: J-Mo, only you know and I know that the wrong team's favored here. This is crazy. Cincinnati wins this game. They win it by 10.
I love that you picked this game, and this is the first one we're going to go the other way.
Oh,
I
wow.
like Gus here. I think this is a good spot at home for them. This is probably my favorite college football bet of the week to take UCF. Like you said, it might be the wrong team favorite. I could end up looking like a fool, but I really like UCF at home.
So you go with I've gone with the road team every time here, which is kind of funny. But I don't have the faith in Gus Malzahn that you do.
I love Gus.
That is for certain.
Running football in a weird way.
Yeah. Well, the guy that he got the UCF job because he left, Josh Heupel, is at home. And he's got to give away 12 to a good Kentucky team. This is a little like Penn State. I think Kentucky's a good team. They're not a great team by any means. We've seen that now. We know for sure. I do think Tennessee is a great team. It's only 12 points, for goodness sake. I'm all over this. And Nealon, are you serious? Give me the Vols.
Wow, I thought you were going to go Kentucky there. I agree with you 100%. I'm going to take Tennessee here. I don't even think I want to call Kentucky a good team. I think they're one of the biggest frauds, certainly in the Southeastern Conference, and I think this 12 is an easy one to lay. I'm going to take Tennessee.
I'm with you 100% on that one. Now let's turn our attention to the NFL. San Francisco beat the Rams in San Francisco by a pretty good amount the first time they played. Now they're in SoFi, and San Francisco is a good team. Rams are been disappointing. They are the defending Super Bowl champs. They have different personnel. I just don't see them losing twice to just a good defense for sure. But I'm not totally sold on San Francisco. I was early. I kind of lost faith. I'm sort of in between. I think it'll be a good football game. It's only 1.5 that the Niners are giving away, but you're in L.A. This is not chopped liver. These guys know how to play. You're giving me points at home. I'm taking them. Give me the Rams.
I think not only are the Rams down this year, but I just think Kyle Shanahan has the number of Sean McVay in this Rams team. I think they just got a lot better. They're having weeks of practice now with McCaffrey. I'm going to take the road favorite here, which is always a dangerous game. I'm going to take San Francisco.
All right, so you got San Francisco. We differ on 2. Green Bay is at Buffalo.
Oh, this is a fun one for you. First time Aaron Rodgers has been a double-digit underdog.
I can't remember it ever.
It's the first time ever.
Oh, so we do know that. Yeah,
that's right.
Well, he's had the drops. People have been dropping. Seems to be throwing the ball well. I think he's frustrated because for a quarterback to be great, you got to have wide receivers, right? I don't think there's any question about that. And he's got a bunch of young guys, but sooner or later they're going to catch on. And you know what a Buffalo fan I am, and I think Mahomes is probably number 1 in the league, but I think Josh Allen is number 2 at this point. I think the youngsters are now equal or better than the old veterans like Aaron Rodgers. I think there's too much pride with Green Bay. They're used to cold weather if it's cold in Buffalo this weekend. I think Buffalo's going to win this game, but 11.5, that's a lot of points to give to a team that now is desperate. The Green Bay Packers are desperate. They've got to win to make the playoffs. They're trying to catch Minnesota. I don't think they're going to catch Minnesota, but they're trying to make the playoffs. So I think that's too much. I think Buffalo wins. I think Green Bay will cover.
I'm very surprised you took that. I thought for sure you were going to take the opportunity to kick them while they were down, kick those Packers while they were down, but I agree with you. I think Aaron Rodgers said after the game last week that he thinks this might be the best thing for him to go into a game where people give them no shot. And the one thing we know about the NFL is any given Sunday, and for that reason, I'm going to take the Packers plus 11. Too many points.
So we only differ on the Rams and the Niners, and that'll be a good game. And you took UCF, and I took Cincinnati. I really feel good about that one. I think you're a loser in that one for sure. And those are our pick six at 10:06. This is fun. I hope you're loading up. I hope you realize the weekend's here. You got to go see Eddie Connor and all the folks at the Spirit Shop. The Spirit Shop right there at the corner of Poplar and St. Nick. That's 4848 Poplar. It's that little log cabin you've passed by a million times, right down from Clark Tower. There is so much product in there, and there's nobody better to educate you than the Connor family. Go see Eddie or go see anybody in the family. Ask them about what is new, what might be the next wine that's coming up. Is there a valuable bourbon that you might want to try? Look, if you're looking for a new rub for a glass, they've got that. Any accessory, all the local beers, they're all right there at the Spirit Shop at Poplar and St. Nick. And this portion of the show is also brought to you by the good folks at the Eflin Insurance team. Yeah, that's the team. That's how they view insurance, and they do it so well. Matt's got guys like Grant, Andrew, or Keith all standing by at a number. They're big Tiger fans, so they got Gurr in there for Memphis, and that's 901-386-4777. Here's the deal. He'll sit down with you and get to know your family. Get to know what's important to protect when you're talking, whether it's an auto insurance program, whether it's home insurance, life insurance. He gets to know what's important to you, what your budget might be, and then he matches you up with the perfect scenario of protection. Same thing with small to mid-sized businesses. Commercial insurance is what he does for those kinds of smaller businesses. Again, I get to know your product, your assets, what you need to protect, what your budget is, and he will take care of you. All you got to do is call. It's the Eflin Insurance team at 901-386-4777. High school football tonight, a number of really good games. We'll pick the brain of our coach, Glenn Rogers Jr. He will come your way in just a minute.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Buying a home? Rocket Mortgage will cover 1% of your rate for the first year at no cost to you, saving you hundreds, even thousands with Inflation Buster. For example, if you lock a 7% rate today, you'll only pay 6% for a year. That means more road trips, more date nights, more front row seats. Every month for a year, and your rate is secured for 30 years. Now imagine if rates drop within 3 years of your home purchase and you get exclusive savings when you refinance at that new lower rate. More home upgrades, more rainy day funds, more cash in your pocket. Save when you buy today and refinance tomorrow. Call 8337-ROCKET today or visit inflationbuster.com to start saving. That's 8337-ROCKET or go to inflationbuster.com.
For fees covered rate like date requirements and other terms and conditions, visit inflationbuster.com or call 1-8337-ROCKET, equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Hey, Mid-South, I've got Jeff Allen on the phone at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. Hey, Jeff, what's shaking?
We are making our customers happy at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah. How about this? 2023 Kia Sorento LX all-wheel drive for just $257 per month. 36-month lease, $29.99 due at signing. And I've got a 2023 Kia Sportage LX front-wheel drive, $287 per month. 36-month lease, $34.99 due at signing.
Well, I'm feeling happy, Jeff.
And if you don't see what you want, no problem. I'll order exactly what you want, and you won't pay over MSRP at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com. Seltos P738-6423, MSRP 25325, K5 950 MSRP 26860, PF 695. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/2022 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties and limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
I saw yesterday on NBC News prices for houses coming down, but the interest rates are going up. Real estate market has certainly changed. That's why I'm so glad Sheldon Rosengarten is around. He watches the interest rates. He knows how difficult it might be out there, but he's always sort of plotting. He watches the fluctuations, and he's got strategies whichever way it goes. And that's why a lot of real estate agents will call him. That's why he says, look, call 2 or 3 real estate agents to make sure he's one of them. That successful strategic marketing program involves the 3 Ps: pricing, preparation, and presentation. And it reflects what you do when the interest rates fluctuate as they have. You can be assured the goal is to make you the most money for your property. That's it. And while he's known as Mr. 3-Putt, he should be known as Mr. 3P. That is marketing program that involves preparation, pricing, and presentation. Please call. It's simple. 483-0546. Call him. He'll set you straight. Or go to Memphis Relocate. Either way, you're a winner if you call Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf. Speaking of winners, our good friend Glenn Rogers Jr. joins us now from over at MUS. They get set to travel. They're going to Nashville today, I think it is, for a big football game this evening. They will be at Brentwood Academy. But I got to start with something that a guy that I think you and I both respect a lot, the coach at Central High School, Major Wright, who's been a coach of at least 4 different high school teams. I know he understands private sector, public sector. He is saying right now public school teams are 3 years behind because of COVID. Do you buy that, Glenn Rogers Jr.?
Absolutely, Dave, and good morning to you and all our listeners. Yes, I buy that, Dave. I've seen the ramifications of the COVID-19, and also, Dave, high school is starting to get a little bit like college with kids leaving and uprooting and going to different programs. So, the transfer portal is in effect in high school. So, I mean, you look around at a lot of these teams and, the kid at Bartlett, the quarterback at Collierville, Aiden Glover, these kids are on the move. And so, with COVID-19 canceling that season for the public schools in the city, a lot of those kids moved around, and that wasn't the case at Collierville, of course, but, a lot of kids have moved around and shaking this thing up. And, they are behind the 8 ball. A lot of these public schools are.
That really is tough, and that might be. There was a story that came out about Ryan Silverfield not having at this point a recruit committed from the city of Memphis. It would be the first time in I don't know how long that would be the case. But part of that is a lot of these kids are just not ready because they are so far behind. All right, let's talk some games. And let's start with what I think is one of the critical games of the evening. Bartlett is 7-2. They're 5-1 in their league. They've got to go what perennially has been one of the toughest places in the city to play. That is at Whitehaven. However, Whitehaven has had a tougher time of it this year. Maybe it's because of that 3-year gap that we've been discussing. They can't go to the playoffs. They're already out of it to the best of my knowledge, but they can play spoiler tonight if they were to beat Bartlett and Whitehaven 5-4. So that they want to assure themselves over 500 in both overall record 6-4, and they would be 4-3 to finish in league if they were to get this tonight. What's your sense?
Yeah, Dave, I talked to Coach Salisbury this morning. 16 years since Whitehaven has missed the playoffs. And, you're right. They're out of the playoff picture, but they can play spoiler. But I'll tell you, I watched the Bartlett team last week against Colleyville, and the atmosphere at Bartlett was outstanding. They got out to Colleyville last week. The quarterback played well. He ran and threw. They had a good balanced attack. And, boy, Bartlett up front, I've never seen them until this season up front. They got some guys up front that really take over the ball game. Then on the back end, they got one of the best corners in this area with Devin Rutherford's son, Devin Jr., and he's a shutdown corner. He's committed to TCU already, so I'm leaning toward Bartlett. I think Bartlett to go in and get the win tonight, and keep Whitehaven from playing spoiler alert tonight against a good, solid Bartlett team.
So Devin Rutherford's kid is going to go play for Sonny Dykes, huh?
Yeah, Dave, he's legitimate. He's a shutdown type corner. I watched him a lot during that ball game because I saw Devin at the game, and he was sitting on the Colleyville side. I thought his son was at Colleyville, no, but he's at Bartlett, and it was just amazing looking at him, seeing that young man grow and develop. Because I remember he was a toddler, young man when Devin was coaching.
Yep.
So just to see how he's matured and the way he plays, he's aggressive, and he's one of the best corners in his area. I can guarantee you that. Being committed to TCU speaks volume, and so it was a real good Bartlett defense. They did a good job against the Colleyville offense. It's been moving the ball on pretty much everybody.
Lausanne tonight goes to North Point, and if they win, because they're 7-1, 2-0 in Division IIA West, then they become the number one seed in the playoffs. North Point playing is a good team, 6-3, 1-1. Is Lausanne going to win that game and lock up number one seed?
Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll go down tonight. They got enough good athletes, Dave, in the stable. They got a great offensive lineman up front that's being heavily recruited. I think they'll go down at North Point and get the win tonight. Kevin's a good coach. He's got excellent people on his staff. And so I think they'll go down, Dave, in a hostile environment at North Point. I know the people in North Point always just get mad, upset with me because I always didn't pick them. But I think Lausanne's got a good enough group to go down there and get a win tonight.
Is the atmosphere at North Point, is that a tough place to play?
Yeah, I think when they're winning, Dave, because it's right on the borderline, right there with on the Tennessee borderline, and so when they got a good group and they're winning, the atmosphere is fantastic down there. I know I got a lot of friends that stay in that area, and they see the crowds at the ball games and the tailgating, and so this year North Point is 6-3, like you said, and that atmosphere will be electric tonight because they got an opportunity to win that ball game. I just think Lausanne has got a little bit more depth and firepower. I think they'll pull it off.
So we mentioned Central and Major Wright with his comments a little earlier. He's got the tough task of going to Munford. Munford, the number one high school team in both the Commercial Appeal and the Daily Memphian polls. Does Major Wright's Central team have any chance against this mighty Munford team?
Yeah, they got a chance. That's why they play the game. But I tell you, Munford, Dave, is rolling. I don't see Major and them just a blip in the road for them. I think they'll come out tonight and get out to Central early and try to get some starters out of the game and get ready for this playoff run. Last week, Christian Brothers really did a number on Major, and they got out them up front. They ran the ball pretty well, and they played tough defense. I think Munford have the same recipe because Munford's got a great little running back, a little bitty guy that can run the football. I just think Munford is poised this year to make a deep, deep run in the playoffs.
J-Mo, you'll be on that broadcast of the game because it's at Munford. What's your synopsis of this thing?
I think Coach Rogers hit the nail on the head. I think it'll be the running back, Braxton Sharp, was off last week. I'm not sure, not really with an injury. I think just had like a little pains and they didn't play anybody too tough. They got a really good quarterback too, Jordan Bell. I think they roll tonight. Undefeated season.
Yeah, I think they roll tonight in an undefeated season like J-Mo said. And I'm telling you, Dave, from everything I've heard, even from J-Mo and Munford, the people that out in that area, they're poised to make a deep, deep run for a state championship this year. And it'll be outstanding for the folks in Munford to get one under their belt.
If it's like last year, Munford squeezed out a 30-29 win. I got a feeling this time it may be a little bit bigger margin. Tell me this, Glenn, is Munford good enough to win the state championship?
Absolutely. They got two recipes you need. They got a quarterback, and they got a running game. Well, 3 recipes you need: a quarterback and a running game, and then J-Mo can tell you better. They got a solid defense, Dave. They play good, tough, hard-nosed defense, especially against the run. And when you can run the ball and you got a quarterback that's able to throw it, that's a deadly combination. And I think, special teams always plays the key. I don't know how good the kicking game is, but when you got those 3 phases, a good stiff defense and a running game and a quarterback that's capable, those are 3 good ingredients to make a deep run, a state championship type run for that team.
Last week, Brentwood Academy beat Ensworth. They're 4-0. They locked up the number 1 seed of the Division II AAA West, of which you guys are a member at MUS. You've had a good year. You're 7-2 and 3-1. They're 7-2, 4-0. What are the keys for this game for the Owls?
Well, first of all, Dave, the 1 seed isn't locked up yet. If we win tonight, we'll be the number 1 seed because we've been in Brentwood and they beat Ensworth. So it's either 1 seed for both of us tonight or a 3 seed because Ensworth is definitely locked in at the 2 seed because they beat us. And so we got a lot riding on this game, and so do Brentwood Academy. They got a 6'5" sophomore quarterback that's got a big arm. Their running game is solid. Defensively, they're always good up front. They're 3-down linemen are big physical guys. So we got to be able to establish the run. Brady Hughes, our sophomore quarterback, has got to be able to move the chains with his legs. And when we have to, Dave, we got to be able to throw the ball and complete some passes. And then defensively, we got to do a real good job of stopping the run game and create some turnovers. And then special teams is going to be key. Last year, we muffed the punt. They recovered it for a touchdown. We gave up a big play in the passing game. So, last year we really felt like we had that game in the bag. We lost by 2. We really feel like special teams really kind of let that game get away from us. So we're excited. I thought Coach Austin did a great job talking to the team all week about being poised and having a mindset of we're going up there to win a ball game. And so that's been our mindset all week. And we know the task is going to be tall because Brentwood is one of the most storied programs in this country.
I know, by the way, all about muff punts, so I feel your pain for sure. All right, last game. Good one. Melrose can win their region. The Wildcats, the Golden Wildcats are back. They're 4-0 in Region 8-4A, 8-1 overall. They got to play Ridgeway. Deron Sutton's team can be a spoiler. It's not been a good year for them, 3-6, but they are 3-1 in the region. I think Melrose locks up the number 1 seed with a win, and they get a bye next week. If that is the case, is Melrose good enough to win a state championship, and who wins this game tonight?
Well, I think Derek Bobo has done an amazing job. Him and his staff has done an outstanding job revitalizing that program and that community. Like you said, they're poised to win that game tonight and make a deep run in the playoffs. I think if you talk to Coach Bobo, they're probably a couple of pieces away from really primed to win a state title, but I would not be surprised if Melrose got to the 2nd or 3rd round in the state playoffs because they have a good, solid team. They're really, really tough and aggressive on defense. And I think they win this game tonight against Ridgeway and win the region. And I think they're poised to go to the 2nd or 3rd round. It would not surprise me because their defense is very aggressive.
He's Glenn Rogers Jr. Good luck tonight up in Nashville. We'll be pulling for you. We appreciate it, and we'll start talking playoffs next week.
Absolutely, Dave. I can't wait, and good luck to all these teams tonight, especially the ones that are playing for region championships. Thank you very much, Dave.
That is Glenn Rogers Jr. on high school football. He's brought to you in part by AmeriCare. AmeriCare is this wonderful place that has a philosophy on helping those who get a little older and need assisted living or even memory care. It started in 1981 in Sikeston, Missouri, of all places. Now they have 133 places, including in Memphis 3. The first one, South Breeze, that is assisted living and memory care at 3168 Hacks Cross Road. Collierville's got the second one. It's Schilling Gardens. That's right at Schilling Bend Commons. And then the third in Olive Branch, Olive Grove Terrace. That's right there on Goodman Road, 9684 Goodman. Let me tell you a little bit about the philosophy of what they do at AmeriCare. They believe that for healthy aging, where you live really does matter. Most people go, okay, it's exercise and eating the right things and making sure you got vitamins and things of that nature. It goes well beyond that. There's a mental thing to it. And in the AmeriCare communities, they're more intimate, easier to make friends, join fun activities, share good company at mealtimes. You feel right at home. That's it. You want the place to feel like home. And again, assisted living or memory care. If you're interested, contact them again. Memphis, South Breeze, Collierville, it's Schilling Gardens, and in Olive Branch, Olive Grove Terrace. You can make sure your loved ones approach aging the right way with AmeriCare. Real quick, because we're going to talk with Andy Schiffman about this. This is surprising. Philly and Brooklyn, 1-4 starts. That's flopping. Milwaukee's the only unbeaten team at 3-0. Memphis, Portland, Utah all lead the West at 4-1. Lakers and Sacramento are 0-4. Who's the bigger flop? Is it Philly, Brooklyn, or the Lakers? We'll ask that of Andy Schiffman in just 1 minute. I'll let you know. We got a new thing starting next week with the good folks at Conway, but I got to tell you, with it as cool as it's been, and you know it's only going to get colder, you got to get the winter tune-up. It includes the carbon monoxide check, where with Conway, they got this little camera goes into your system, looks for leaks. You feel really good, rest assured, sleep well when you know there's no issue in that regard. And then, of course, they're going to tune you up. $69, 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up inside, outside. They get all the dirt, leaves, and stuff from your outdoor units, so you're efficient. You know what efficient means. Save money on your MLGW bill, and your system lasts longer. All you got to do is call 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. Andy Schiffman, our agent from Priority Sports in Chicago. He talks NBA on Wolo and Friends in just a minute.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You know when I played football for the Memphis Tigers?
We all know you played for the Tigers.
We all love going to Central Barbecue after games. There were so many great choices to refuel after the game, ribs, pulled pork. Some of the weirdos would even get vegan options. And as team captain,
we all know you were a team captain.
I felt as leader I needed to encourage my teammates to get the best food possible, and that was Central Barbecue.
Or you just wanted to go there, so as a captain, you made them come with you to Central Barbecue.
They wanted to come to Central Barbecue.
Not as much as you wanted to go to Central Barbecue.
No one wants to go to Central Barbecue as much as me.
Hi, everybody. Greg Gaston for FanDuel. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlays, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events that let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started, and be sure to sign up with promo code GASMAN so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or over and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit is required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We are off and running in the NBA, and there's some trends. Now, obviously, this is not a lot to really get a feel for, but you're talking about 5 games in. Grizzlies on pace to win 66. Philly and Brooklyn 1-4. Lakers 0-4. Andy Schiffman, our NBA expert, our agent from Priority Sports in Chicago, talks NBA with us every Friday, and he's been so kind to do it for so long. Who's the bigger flop of those 3? Philly, Brooklyn, Lakers.
Dave, for me, it's Philly. It is Philadelphia. I think you return the core that you had success with towards the end of last year, obviously moving Ben Simmons to Brooklyn for James. It's a head-scratcher. It really is. They had so much success last year, and to start off the season 1-4 and losing games that they have no business losing, I do not understand it. I have a client on the Sixers. I speak with him about it pretty frequently. They're going to be here in Chicago to play the Bulls tomorrow. So the Bulls have played very well as well. So I think they could end up 1-5 after tomorrow night. You have obviously the Lakers, which I just kind of think a lot of people are pretty down on the Lakers even over the summer to start the season. I didn't really expect them to get off to a hot start. You saw them struggle last year. It's unfortunately continuing for them. I know LeBron is going to be frustrated. Now, at the end of the day, as you said, it's very early. I still think the Lakers will have a chance to be a play-in team in the playoffs. I still think you're going to see the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs. But it is pretty interesting. We're 4 or 5 games in, and we're talking about the Lakers, Philadelphia, and Brooklyn, all with extreme losing records, 0-4, 1-4, what have you. And the flip side of it, teams that were earmarked with that should have those records right now, Utah, Portland, for example.
Right.
It's just very surprising, but it is early. I wouldn't look at this and get overly excited if I'm a Portland fan or if I'm a Utah fan. I think everything will kind of law of averages, right? Everything will kind of even out as the season goes on. And it's funny because you have all of these front office and decision makers in the NBA on a team like Portland, on a team like Utah, relegated to resign to say, hey, you know what, this season's a wash. We want to lose. We want to try and position ourselves in the lottery to have a chance to get a top pick, whether it's the kid Victor Wembanyama from France,
right,
or another top player. And I always wonder what they're thinking as the season's starting out and they're undefeated, or they're 4-1, or they're 5-1. Because at the end of the day, I don't think a team like that can sustain that sort of success for an 82-game season.
Is Wembanyama that generational, as they are saying, like the best since LeBron? Is he worth tanking for?
He's definitely worth tanking for. Is he the best since LeBron? If you have a healthy Zion and you've seen what Ja is doing, it's too early to tell, right? We just don't know. It's too early to tell if he's going to make that level of an impact with the franchise. But when you map out the rest of the 2023 draft class as of today, and you map out where he could be with his youth, his skill set, size, athleticism, his ability to literally score anywhere on the court, yes, he is absolutely worth taking for. He's going to be a definite, extremely good NBA player. Is he going to be generational? Just too early to say.
It is surprising to me. Only 3 to 5 games in. And, we've already talked about the flops we didn't see coming and maybe some of the successes, like Portland and in particular Utah, because everybody, they got Utah near the bottom of the Western Conference. But what's surprising to me is that only one team is unbeaten this early in the season, which goes to tell you there's going to be, like the NFL this year, a lot of parity. And, maybe that 65-game win season isn't going to happen.
It very well may not. Milwaukee, as you mentioned, is 3-0. They have a tough one coming up against the Knicks, I think, tonight at home. And the Knicks are 3-1. They're playing good basketball. And then you have teams in the East that are very strong contenders this year. Obviously, Boston, they're dealing with some injuries to Robert Williams. Grant Williams being suspended for tonight's game against Cleveland. Cleveland's another team that's exciting to watch. They've only gotten better.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be there at the end of I think they could be a top 4 seed in the East.
Wow.
But the East is very competitive. And you remember, we've talked about it just a few years ago, how there was such a great disparity in competition between the West and the East. And now I think the East really has kind of overtaken that, because you look at teams 1 through 8. I mean, you talk about Toronto, they're off to a pretty good start. Chicago, they're off to a really pretty good start. I was at the Pacers game the other night where they just obliterated the Pacers for the majority of the game. Washington, Atlanta. Now, will Washington and Atlanta be there at the end of the season as a top 6 to 8 team or a play-in team? It's hard to say. Atlanta could be a top 4 team. They could also fall out of the playoffs altogether, and Washington just needs to stay healthy with our guy Bradley Beal. Obviously, we're not talking about Miami, who's not even in the top 8 right now, and it's so early, but they're 2-4. And you have to expect them to be one of the top 7 or 8 teams in the East. So the East is very competitive this season.
It's funny. The perception is the West is that much better, but I think last year in competition between the East and the West, the East had the better record in head-to-head.
Yep.
And so I think there's a lot of parity in that, or maybe even the East is slightly better, which is hard to believe. Look, the league is that good now. This league, we've said this for the last couple of years. This is an era of NBA basketball that is the best it's ever been. Look, I love the Boston Celtics with Bill Russell and those 11 championships, and I love the Michael Jordan era with the Bulls. And how exciting all that was. But when it comes to the amount of good players and good teams in the league, the last 2 or 3 years, this is the best the NBA's ever been, I think.
I agree. There's really no lag, right? Because now you have LeBron, who's going to go down in history as one of the greatest of all time, towards the back end of his career, obviously producing still at a very high level. But it's not really like fans have to wait for, okay, who's next? You see it in Giannis, in Luka, in Steph Curry. All these players are overlapping, and now you have Zion. Now you have Ja. I mean, R.J. Barrett's an elite-level talent with the Knicks. Coming up, Victor Wembanyama next summer in the draft. And so, as you said, the NBA is receiving increased talented players every single year. And I just think it's because these young players growing up now, they have access to so many resources, and they're watching and having access to all these camps and learning from NBA players and watching these NBA games, and parents and AAU teams are just pumping more money into the training, to where now if you're a 10, 12-year-old kid, to think where you're going to be in 8, 9, or 10 years, assuming the physicality is there, right? You're going to be tall, you're going to be long, you're going to be athletic. You have those attributes, you're going to reach new heights that you really haven't seen before, and it's just going to keep snowballing. And it's good for the game to have this many good players. It's good for parity. Every single team now, you see an increased number of possessions, higher scoring games. Everyone wants to run. Everyone is athletic. Your centers and your power forwards have to shoot threes and run the floor and be athletic. And it's exciting to watch. It's fun to watch as a fan.
Well, that's the good news. The bad news is the number one market's got 2 bad teams at the moment, and the Knicks haven't done anything in forever. And unfortunately, the Lakers are a mess. They can't shoot. Their 3-point shooting percentage is under 20%. LeBron can't shoot. Westbrook has been so ineffective. They're trying to trade him, or they won't even play him at all. What kind of a philosophy is that? Is Russell Westbrook at this point in his career such a distraction that you owe him $47 million? Should you just sit him on the bench for $47 million and keep him away from everybody? Is he that much of a cancer?
Look, I don't have anything negative to say about Russell Westbrook. We have Dennis Schroeder on the Lakers, who would be getting a huge opportunity right now, but he injured his thumb against Minnesota a while back, so he's going to be out for a little bit. He recently had surgery, and it is surprising to see a player like Russell Westbrook, who, when he's at his best, is beyond excellent, right? We've seen him with the Thunder in years past and how good he has been, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it has something to do or just a result of playing alongside other superstars and there's egos involved, or if he's in his own head. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I don't think the Lakers can go too much longer without just playing him. You can't get any worse, put it that way. You're not going to put him out there for his shooting, but you need to find ways to score points. I think they're definitely going to be making some moves in the near future. I think they're going to try and add a shooter, even at a minimum, as a minimum salary sort of player, some sort of wing shooter added to that roster. And is that going to move the needle and completely, revamp the Lakers, and all of a sudden they're going to go on this win streak? Probably not. But this Russell Westbrook thing, a decision is going to have to be made, and I think eventually he will be continuing to play with the Lakers. But I'd be shocked if Russell Westbrook is in L.A. after the trade deadline in February. I would not bet on that.
Well, I would bet on this. The Lakers are going to have to pay the majority of that $47 million, because I don't think anybody's going to take that salary. All right, last thing. Kevin Durant, after the Grizzlies' exciting win over the Nets a couple of days ago, made the comment that John Morant is the most marketable player now in all of the NBA. That includes him and LeBron. Do you buy that?
I do.
Wow.
I absolutely do. Memphis is everyone I talk to around the league, and even a lot of my players on other teams, everyone watches Memphis. They're fun to watch, and it's all because of Ja. He's put Memphis basketball on the map for sure. A lot of people expect Memphis to go far, knock on wood, if everyone's healthy this season in playoffs. It is absolutely not out of the question they can get to the NBA Finals or even win a championship. I mean, you think about those words with the city of Memphis in that same sentence. We'd be laughing at that years ago, and now it's absolutely within reality when you look at the other teams and their makeup and the success they've had. You look at their roster. Why can't Memphis do that? It's the exact same depth that these other Milwaukee Bucks, Denver Nuggets, Phoenix, it's Golden State. They have the same level of depth. They are led by a superstar. There's no egos. They're well coached. They defend. They shoot threes. And so if everyone is healthy, I think all eyes are going to be on Memphis, and it's led by Ja. And he's, again, in today's NBA, right, just in terms of what KD talked about being marketable, he's just a personality, and he's obviously the athleticism flying around the court is off the charts. And if you are, in terms of the business side, a company wanting to work and put your name behind a player, you want that to represent you as a brand more so than someone that, look, it's nothing wrong with this, kind of putting your head down, being quiet behind the scenes, almost like a Tim Duncan type, right? Like Tim Duncan obviously is one of the absolute all-time greatest NBA players, but he was not the personality that you would see in today's NBA and some of these other superstars. I absolutely buy that.
There's charisma to him that both on and off the court, no question about it. He is our agent in Chicago. Andy Schiffman, have a great weekend. Well, the Grizzlies are about to have a tough stretch. We'll know a little bit more about them when we speak next Friday. Thank you, buddy.
Take care. Have a good weekend.
That is Andy Schiffman, our agent in Chicago with Priority Sports. He's brought to you in part by the good folks at Grind City. Grind City Brewing's got this great Pilsner. They called it Poppy's Pills. What the doctor ordered, because Pills, a little take on the Pilsner. It really is good. I promise you. It's really refreshing. Going to be 75 today. If you're playing golf, I'm playing in the Amateur Sports Hall of Fame Scramble. Looking forward to that at Galloway. Because we're getting close, by the way, the end of Audubon as we know it. Monday's the last day you can play there. There's going to be all kinds of things going on at Audubon. But I would take advantage on a Friday after you play 75 degrees. I hope at this tournament they've got what the doctor ordered, Poppy's Pills, the Pilsner from Grind City Brewing, available in 6-packs or 15-packs all over the place. You can get it at retailers like my friend Eddie Connor in the Spirit Shop. Best enjoyed ice cold. Even today, you'll love that. It's the Pilsner they're all talking about from Grind City, Poppy's Pills. That'll do it. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you Sunday at FedEx Forum. We'll be back here on Monday.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's